What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about how Queen Elizabeth's death has affected Canada and will affect Canada going into the future. Now, as an American, I really have no concept of royalty, monarchy, and I have a better understanding of how the United Kingdom royalty is relates to Canada and the Commonwealth. I have a better understanding than I think most Americans, just because I've been here just trapped on the internet learning about it for a while now, which has been fun and has thankfully given me some knowledge that I have slowly but surely accumulated. So I understand there is a relationship between the Queen Elizabeth, the new king, King Charles, and Canada, and they affect one another. But I have to admit, one thing I've been wondering about is I don't. It would be impossible for me to say or understand. So I am curious what the average Canadian thinks about Queen Elizabeth's death and the new king, King Charles, and all of that. I don't quite understand the relationship. I mean, I understand the facts a little bit, but I don't understand the cultural relationship, if that makes sense. What the people of Canada actually think about all this. I'm sure there's mourning and sadness. There's there's sadness and respect and mourning of the Queen going on in America, but at the end of the day, we're pretty distant from it all. We don't have any real relationship to it. And then when I look at Canada, I realize, wait, there's an extremely relevant relationship there that I almost hadn't realized, you know? But American media is covering this. I'm sure in Canada, this is all being covered quite closely as well. And I was actually looking up some articles here, to try to refresh myself and understand things a little better. The relationship between Canada and the UK. First of all, Canada's part of the Commonwealth, and I was actually hearing that, gosh, some of the members of the Commonwealth, now with Queen Elizabeth's passing, are talking about exiting the Commonwealth and ending that relationship. I don't know if that's something Canada is talking about. I know that there's this Governor General of Canada. Yes, I had learned about this and forgotten the official representative of the Canadian monarch to the British monarchy. So I was trying to refresh myself on that, just try to understand things a little bit. But at the end of the day, there's only so much I can understand as an American. I'm just learning this all for the first time, basically. But I'm just interested how this is all affecting Canada. And I did find this video, which I did want to watch, which was what changes will Canada see after Queen Elizabeth's death? Which, of course, this is extremely relevant because that has happened, and I imagine changes are going to happen. So let's take a look.
She's the only monarch most living Canadians have known, Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I hate to pause it that quickly, but Queen Elizabeth has been around for 70 years as queen. It's insane. It's outrageous. It's when Americans think of the UK, they think of the Queen. That's the symbol. That's who pops into our head. We basically figured at this point she'd be around forever, you know? It just felt that way for as long as I've been alive, and for as long as most people who could ever watch this video have been alive for 70 years. Respect to you if you're over 70 years old. Good for you and watching this. But for most of us, our only life experience is with Queen Elizabeth as queen. So this is all new to us. Americans included. So yeah.
During his 70-year reign, our head of state, the Queen's name was deeply entrenched into Canada's identity. Here at Wood.
See, this is the things I need to learn that I don't know. How deeply entrenched was Queen Elizabeth into Canadian culture and all of that?
Fine racetrack where on 4 occasions the Queen attended one of the most famous races, the Queen's Plate. It's the oldest continuously run race in North America, dating to
Oh, look, the Queen came and visited Canada to see this horse race. That was probably pretty big news.
1860. Her Majesty loved horses, loved the sport, but what happens with the name of the event?
Certainly, we will continue.
Oh, the name of the event is named after the Queen? Man, see, there's some things like this where I figure, why don't you just leave some of the stuff like this, in honor of Queen Elizabeth? Do we need to change everything? Man, a lot of it is based on tradition and protocol, so I don't know exactly how it works.
Continue on with the relationship with the monarchy. The last couple days have just felt too early to talk about whether the name will change pursuant to tradition. I mean, it was the King's Plate from 1901 to 1952.
Oh, wow. See, that's already great information for me. We're talking about the idea of, this happens. The monarch changes, the name changes in accordance with tradition. Heck, maybe we're going to step away from that and name it something else entirely. We don't know. It's too soon to say for Canada. That's very interesting stuff.
From expressways to Queen's Park and the seat of the Ontario Legislature, there's no requirement or reason that the Queen's name couldn't remain.
I think there'll be others who will analyze that.
Mayor John Tory says someone with an expert eye will review those things.
Someone with an expert eye? What? I don't know what they're making this sound like, some kind of scientific analysis. But I would think it's just kind of up to the people of Canada to kind of decide if they think it represents Canada as a nation or not.
Time.
Now, for the moment, we're engaged in the kind of much more, focused mourning that will go on for the next 10 days.
Canada's currency won't be affected.
Yeah.
Anything with the Queen's image will always be legal tender.
Yeah, right. All the currency. I actually didn't realize so much of the currency in Canada had the Queen's portrait on it. I had reacted to Canadian currency before in another video, but I was more wrapped up in how cool it looked and the high-tech material it was made of that I didn't quite realize, and now it's very relevant, that Queen Elizabeth's portrait, of course, is on it. So apparently that's just going to remain legal tender, and then maybe the King's portrait will come at a later date.
But where courts are concerned, the changes are immediate. Places like Alberta, where the Superior Court was called Court of Queen's Bench, it's already been changed to Court of King's Bench.
Wow.
Everywhere else, it'll switch from her to his, along with the Latin terms on documents.
Right. This is happening a lot in the UK, as I understand it, that we're switching from a queen and now we're having a king, so the pronouns have to change to reflect His Majesty. Even God Save the Queen, the national anthem, is going to change to God Save the King, I believe. So there's apparently courts in Canada named for the monarch, so that will change, and that's a legal thing, so I guess I understand why that changes so quickly.
Regina versus the accused. Now it will be His Majesty the King. Rex versus the accused. In civil cases, if you're suing the government, you may be suing the Queen in right of Ontario.
No longer will anyone swear allegiance to the Queen.
Things like citizenship oaths, oaths that members of...
Right, oaths. Yeah, national stuff where you're kind of swearing to the monarchy. It's a king now.
Parliament would take. When you become a lawyer, you swear an oath to the Queen. So now you will...
Wow, I really didn't realize how Canada was still so related and so deeply entrenched to the monarchy, where the lawyers and citizens, possibly new citizens maybe, are when they have to make oaths or fill out things, it's to the Queen. I didn't actually realize that relationship.
He's swearing an oath to the King.
No matter what Canada's oldest race is eventually called, Queen Elizabeth II will always be top of mind here.
The race goes on.
Yeah, that's another thing, is the Queen Elizabeth, in America was, as limited as our understanding of it all is, we still had a deep admiration and respect for the Queen. even though we didn't really have a huge intimate relationship, everyone just always had that respect. So I imagine it's very similar and actually amplified in Canada, where Canadians are probably deeply saddened by this. But that's the kind of thing where I don't know for sure what Canadian individuals think of royalty and the Queen and all that, if it's too steeped in tradition or it's something that you greatly cherish. I don't know. As an American, it's just not something we have had ever. We just have nothing to relate to understand it.
And regardless of the name, her legacy will certainly live on in the world of horse racing and in the world of horse racing in Canada and particularly at Woodbine.
Aside
Well, that's nice.
from law and the courts, the decision to keep the Queen's name versus changing it to our new King's will likely be a choice and not a requirement. Whether it's hospitals or schools or road
Wait, what?
will likely be a courts the decision to keep the Queen's name versus changing it to
Particularly at Woodbine.
aside from law and the courts, the decision to keep the Queen's name versus changing it to our new King's will likely be a choice and not a requirement.
Oh, does Canada actually refer to it as our king, our queen? So it would be correct to say that King Charles is the King of Canada? That would be correct and accurate to say?
Whether it's
I've never thought of it like that, ever.
hospitals or schools or roadways, it's unlikely that many names will be changed, at least not soon.
Whoop. Okay, well, that actually all makes pretty good sense to me. It seems like there is a deep respect for the Queen, and besides legal stuff, a lot of institutions will be up to them to decide if they want to change the names around and stuff, or keep it in memory of Queen Elizabeth. That's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Look at this, the Globe and Mail. Is that a Canadian journal or newspaper? Canada is stuck with the monarchy. We should thank our lucky stars. Is that being sarcastic, or are you actually thanking your lucky stars for that? Well, this article would suggest that Canadians are quite happy with the monarchy. That's good intel for me. I'm like a little detective here, trying to figure things out. I also have a short video here I wanted to watch. Just Canadians mourn the loss of Queen Elizabeth II. And I felt like I needed to watch this and react to it, because I do want to understand the deeper relationship between Canada and the Queen. And mourning is a part of that and will help me understand, because it basically will show that the deepness of that connection. And, you know, it's just another cultural thing that I think will give me a deeper insight.
It's easy at times to forget that Canada is a member of the Commonwealth.
So tonight, hearts are heavy on the.
It's easy to forget that Canada is a member of the Commonwealth. Well, I did have to kind of Google that. I'm sorry. I had to Google that beforehand to just make sure. I believe there's 12 or something Commonwealth nations that I suppose all refer to the king as their king. So that's this is all stuff, you know, Americans have. I mean, 99% of Americans don't even know what the Commonwealth is. So I guess I'm at least a little ahead of the game.
It's easy at times to forget that Canada is a member of the Commonwealth.
So tonight, hearts are.
Oh, this is an American news in Detroit. Oh, this is funny. So this is going to be Americans reporting on Canada. See how this goes.
Heavy on the other side of the Detroit River in Windsor, and that's a town where a city that Queen Elizabeth had a very special connection to. Tim Pamplin is in Windsor tonight. Tim?
If you were with us at 4 o'clock, you saw some of the shock on people's faces as they heard the news of the passing of Her Majesty the Queen.
Yeah, I mean, Americans reported it in the news that the Queen was fallen ill and that the royal family members were visiting her and trying to get to her, and it seemed like a lot of Americans were concluding that maybe the death of the Queen had occurred, maybe the news was about to report this, it didn't sound good, and sure enough, that is what happened.
Just a few moments ago, a worker showed up here, lowering the Canadian maple leaf to half-staff.
Oh, yeah. See, this is the kind of thing where I don't think America lowered any flags or anything. We don't have we don't have a relationship like that to the crown.
The Queen made a couple of visits here to Windsor, and just like the Queen herself, it was a visit that stayed
Windsor? Huh. Is this very close to the United States, I suppose?
with many Windsorites.
Windsor police estimated over 100,000 line the motorcade route.
This was 1984
Oh, so the Queen visited Windsor.
when the Queen and Prince Philip.
When?
100,000 line the motorcade route.
This was 1984 when
1984, like 40 years ago?
the Queen and Prince Philip visited Windsor, made their way down Oulette Avenue to Dieppe Park, meeting local dignitaries and the thousands that came out to greet her.
Cool.
Regardless of your location.
I can't. Did the Queen ever visit America? I don't ever remember hearing about that. Would she have a reason to? I don't think so. Not that I can ever remember.
Or station in life, she was your queen.
We're having royalty here today, and our queen stands for something very special.
Well-wishers and ceremonially planting
Yeah.
the silver maple.
Robert here tells me he was in the park that day. First year student at the university.
Yeah, it'd be pretty special to, especially now, to have said you met the Queen in real life, you saw her in the flesh, you were there. It's cool that she visited Canada. Makes complete sense now that I think about it.
Played in the marching band and played "Oh Canada" and "God Save the Queen."
It was extremely exciting. You could hear as the motorcade came down Oulette Avenue, our main street here in Windsor, as the motorcade came down, you could hear the roar of the crowd move with the cars.
I see her and I just think of all that's good, and she's not political. You don't get involved with, parties and factions and stuff like.
Yeah, that is cool how the UK royalty is apolitical, and it's just about kind of steeped in a tradition of that.
that. She's sort of above it all.
She certainly was. So back at here live, there you see Detroit off in the distance. Remember in that story that she planted a tree? Well, here is that tree, that maple tree. The plaque down there.
Wait, you can see Detroit from Windsor? Gosh, I don't even understand American geography.
Commemorating her visit here.
Oh, cool. She planted this tree. Yeah, in the video they showed that she had a shovel. Yes.
1984.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually really cool that's there.
Indeed, for many people around the world. For now, over in Windsor, back to you guys downtown.
And certainly one for our resident Brit, Tim Pamplin, as well. I know Tim's been in touch with his family. Much more coming from Tim here over these next couple of days as well.
That's right.
Okay. That was not exactly the video I thought it would be. I thought maybe they'd do a couple more. Oh, we got a video trying to play randomly. I thought that it would maybe interview a couple more Canadian people and kind of get their thoughts and reactions to the Queen's death. But I think I have a much, much better idea now. The relationship was quite deep. Is deep. I'm talking like it's over. But I am curious about the future now that I phrase it like that. 'Cause Queen Elizabeth really was an institution, a symbol, all in and of herself. Just this individual that's been through so much time. If you've been just being around that long and being queen, living through the evolution of the internet and globalization, and she's just like a key, a doorway to the past and the present, and always such an upstanding individual with a good sense of humor. Yeah, there were so many admirable qualities about the Queen. I'd be interested to learn about Canada's opinion on the new king and what the relationship is going to be now going into the future. Maybe I'm talking out of line here. I don't know. Maybe suggesting that anything will change. Maybe everything will stay the same relationship-wise, and Canada is perfectly happy about that. I have no idea. I'm just here to observe, learn, make very simple deductions to the best of my ability. But I did enjoy this, and I do feel like I have a much better understanding of the relationship between, British royalty and Canada, and how everything's kind of progressing. Everything's kind of happening in real time right now. So it's very interesting. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reaction, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada, Canadian news and culture, and things I've never seen ever in Canada, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.